Two things about the economy. Number one, Janet Yellen just came out. This was on Sunday. She was on ABC's This Week talk show. And she said, and I quote, "It is simply unacceptable for Congress to threaten economic calamity for American households and the global financial system as the cost of raising the debt ceiling." She said if they fail to raise the debt ceiling, quote, "financial and economic chaos would ensue." And I think there's a broad consensus about that, assuming that the Republicans refuse to raise the debt ceiling and President Biden says, nothing I can do. Now, if alternatively President Biden says, I'm going to order Janet Yellen to start paying the bills, even though she thinks the debt ceiling is legal, I don't think it's legal under the 14th Amendment, so I'm going to order her to start paying the bills, and she's got to do what I tell her to do. So therefore, we're going to be good. Don't worry. Then, of course, it goes to the Supreme Court, and we'll see what happens. Or he issues a couple of $1 trillion platinum coins, which the Constitution allows for. And this is an interesting little twist that most people don't understand. Our paper money and our coins are different things. Even though 10 dimes equals $1 and a $1 bill is $1, and they both have the same purchasing power, those 10 dimes are issued by the United States Treasury Department. They are literally American currency from the American government. The dollar is issued by the Federal Reserve and is only acknowledged and recognized as American currency because the law requires it to be, but it's not issued by the Treasury Department. So the Fed can create money out of nothing, out of thin air, and they do routinely. The Treasury Department can also, but the way that they would have to do that is by minting coins. In Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution specifically says that Congress can authorize that the Treasury Department may mint coins and determine their value. So, you know, there's not 10 cents worth of silver in a dime. In fact, I don't even think they have silver in them anymore. The government simply says, you know, the value of that dime, that's 10 cents. The value of that quarter, that's 25 cents. The value of that penny, that's 1 cent, regardless of the value of the metal. So the government can very easily say, yes, here's a platinum coin. It's got $110 worth of platinum in it, but we're going to designate its value at being $1 trillion. Doing that, the Treasury Department has just created $1 trillion. They then deposit that into their account, and $1 trillion just got added to the American, you know, to the government's cash flow, and they use that to pay bills. It's very straightforward. Now, people say, oh, wait a minute, you're creating money out of thin air. Isn't that going to be inflationary? No, it won't be inflationary. Creating $1 trillion is not enough to produce inflation. And Paul Krugman had a whole piece last week about how because of the way the coin would work its way through the system, essentially it couldn't be inflationary. So there's that. There's also, you know, the status of the economy, I think is really important to point out. Simon Rosenberg has a brilliant Twitter thread, and he points out that in 16 years of Bush, and Trump, right, the last three Republican presidents, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., and Donald Trump, that was 16 years. Bush Sr. and Trump both served 4 years, and George W. had 8 years. So 16 years, the 4 Republican presidents produced 1.9 million jobs out of the last 32 years. The 4 Republican presidents, with their half of the last 32 years, produced 1.9 million jobs. Clinton and Obama, in 16 years, produced 33.8 million jobs. And so far, 27 months into Biden's administration, he has produced 12.7 million jobs, more than any president in the history of the United States in that period of time. So number one, we are on a tear, and it's not changing. It's not going backwards. Number two, black unemployment was 4.7% in April of this year. It has never been that low. When Donald Trump was in office, it hit 16.8% in May of 2020. So strong jobs market helps everyone. It's the old, you know, John Kennedy's rising tide lifts all boats. A 3.4% unemployment rate is the lowest in a peacetime United States since World War II. So we've got the lowest unemployment rate since World War II. The majority of Americans have never experienced unemployment this low. Biden is the third straight Democratic president to see a substantial collapse of unemployment. In other words, a substantial rise in employment. Whereas unemployment rates have gone up under the last 3 Republicans, they've gone down under the last 3 Democrats. Since 1989, 49 million net new jobs have been created in America. 96% of those new jobs were created under Democratic presidents, which is essentially all of them. And finally, new small business applications are just exploding. So the economy is doing really, really well. So that's our economic news for the day, number one.